welcome to the Bloomingdale Public Library. I'm Miss Jones, and today we're going to have part one of Caudill Corner. These are all the wonderful titles that are on the Rebecca Caudill book list. Now, Rebecca Caudill books are selected by a committee. The books are suggested by librarians, kids like you, and they're for 4th through 8th grade. So let's get started. We'll talk about all the different titles and the different people that are in these books. One of my favorites, I want to start with a favorite, is Night Books. And this particular book is a little bit spooky. It's about Alex. Alex is a little unusual, and he likes to write kind of scary things. And he's sort of, the kids are always giving him trouble because they think he's unusual, different. And he'd kind of like to get away from that reputation. So what he does, he's decided he's going to burn all the things that he has written. And one night, kind of late, he goes down from his apartment, goes down and gets on the elevator, and he goes down to about 4th floor, and the door's open, and he can smell pumpkin pie, and the Night of the Living Dead is on. He can hear it, and these are two of the most irresistible things for him. So he hops off the elevator, and he starts talking to a nice lady, and she welcomes him in, and this is where his trouble begins, because this is not a normal apartment, and she is not, the lady is a witch. And from that point on, he's captive, and he doesn't really know why. There is another person in the apartment that helps and works, and she's captive also, and she doesn't really think she'll ever get out. And there's a very mysterious cat. This book goes from one adventure to another. You can't imagine how mystical or magical this apartment is. And every night, he's supposed to read a story to the witch. This is really important part of every day. And he goes to the library that she has there. And then they begin to get some clues on maybe how they can escape. So this is a good book, kind of spooky, but you'll enjoy it. Spirit Hunters is another scary story because it has to do with a haunted house. Harper and her mom and dad and her 4-year-old brother have moved into a house that has a reputation. She meets a girl and they become friends, and she finds out that this house is haunted, or everybody says it's haunted. She hears noises and unusual things happening, but at first she doesn't pay attention. But then after a while, it gets louder and it gets worse, and she notices something about her little brother. He says he has a friend, and he's not acting the way he usually did. He's just not a nice little boy. He's crabby and upset, and she begins to find out just how haunted this house is. So another scary story, good around Halloween. My third one that's kind of scary is Small Spaces. Now this book is about a girl named Ollie, and she one day after school she's had a loss in her family, and she's very upset still, and she likes to get out and go by herself, and she goes down sort of in the woods down by a river, and she meets a lady who's very upset. She's in tears, and she's going to throw a book in the water, and Ollie goes, no, I'm going to take it. And she more or less just wrestles the book away from the lady, and she takes it home. The title of that book is Small Spaces, and she wonders, well, it's just a curious book. She reads way into the night, and she's still reading it the next morning when she goes to school. Now, when she gets to school, they're going to have a field trip, and this field trip is to a haunted farm. And when she gets there, the person she meets is the lady that she had left down by the water, the lady she took the book from. And she's really curious about that. But as they get on the bus to go home, the bus just stops working. And they have to send the adults go to get some help, and they're left all alone with the sun going down. And the bus driver suggested, look for small spaces. This is another one that's kind of scary. There's all kinds of scarecrows in there that actually come to life. So it's a good one. Me, Frida, and the Secret of the Peacock Ring. Now, the person Me, that's Paloma, young girl. Her name is Paloma, and she and her mom are going to be going to Mexico for the summer. Frida is a famous Mexican artist, a lady who lived in Mexico. She had all kinds of amazing artwork, and you can actually Google her name. once you get reading it, you'll get her full name, and you can Google and see some of the work that she did. The peacock ring is a piece of art, it's a piece of jewelry, and it is missing. Paloma, when she arrives in Mexico, there's so many things she wants to learn and see, and she meets a brother and a sister, and they begin to tell her the story of their father, who for some reason has been accused of stealing the ring. This is really a mystery. It's an adventure at times, because there's some people that don't look real friendly that are kind of following them, and I don't want to say stalking, but hanging around, so it's a little bit scary. It's a really good book, and it teaches you quite a bit about Mexican art and history. The Miscalculations of Lightning Girl. Lightning Girl's name is Lucy Callahan. When she was 8 years old, she was struck by lightning, and it changed her considerably. She did survive, but she became a math genius. Now, she's afraid of germs, and she has some unusual behaviors, like she has to stand up and sit down 3 times before she can really settle in. And if something is really upsetting her, her mind just starts doing math calculations just really, really fast. And Lucy, she's smart enough to go to college, and that's what she wants to do. But her grandmother said, nope, you got to go to middle school first. So at least 1 year and make some friends. So this is sort of a challenge for Lucy. This isn't something she's done before. But she does make a couple of friends, and through a school project, she becomes friends with a very special dog that is she's determined to help. A fascinating story of how she became a genius, a math genius, and how she's coping with that. Now, the next one is called Drum Roll Please. And 2 girls are friends. There's Mellie, and Olivia, and they're going to be going to Camp Rockaway. They're both musicians. One plays the drums and the other one plays bass. When they get there, they're in the same room together, the same unit, but they meet a lot of other people, and they don't get to play together. They're separated, and they have to go into different bands. And this is a really interesting 2-week camp that they've gone to. They make new friends, and that's kind of what the story's all about, because Olivia had always been a follower, and she meets somebody, a young boy named Noel, and she really thinks he's great. And then Mellie, too, she's always followed Olivia. Their friendship has been really tight. She has to go out and make new friends, and she does meet several new people, and one particular girl that she becomes friends with that may have just changed her life. So it's very interesting 2 weeks of camp, and some of the songs that are in there, I suggest maybe you want to Google. One of them is called Landslide by Stevie Nicks, and the other one is Enter Sandman. They're very, very different pieces of music, and it's kind of interesting to see what they're going to try to recreate and play when they're at camp. This has a lovely cover, Mall Unbound. It is set in Pakistan. Amal has parents and 3 little sisters. They live in a town that is very small, everyone's very close, and they have a family that has a lot of money. They're kind of overseers for the village. They more or less tell everybody what they're going to do. And the gentleman, he's not very nice. And frequently they loan people money, and the people can't pay it back at the interest rate. So they kind of have a hold on this village. Well, Amal one day, she gets in kind of an argument with this gentleman, and he insists that she become a servant in his home. Now, Amal is very frightened to be away from her family, but while she's there, she finds out a secret. And she has to decide if she's going to be very strong, be a strong woman, be a strong girl, and be able to tell somebody in authority what this man has done. It's really interesting to read the cultural differences and the friendships and the kindness of the people in that house and in that village. Front desk. Where do you find a front desk? Well, usually in a hotel or a motel, and that's where this is located. The young girl that you see on the cover, that's Mia. Mia and her mom and dad are managers, become managers of a motel. Now, her parents have immigrated from China, and it was a kind of a rough transition. They were well educated people, but when they got to the United States, they had to take some pretty bad jobs just to stay, just to have money. They finally get this job at a motel, and the owner is kind of a grouch. And so they go ahead and they work the motel, and they get to be friends with many of the people that are permanent residents there. And they also, they sort of house people and give them rooms that can't afford to pay, but they know they're down on their luck. They're very kind people. Now, in the back of the book, one of the things that's really interesting is that there's author's notes. This particular author, Kelly Yang, she and her family did manage a motel when she was growing up. And many of the stories that are in the book are things that she and her family experienced. So I really recommend this. It's a real good book on how people immigrate and to this country, and some of the bad times they have and the issues, the complications they didn't expect. A good kind of trouble. This could be set in today's time right now. Shay is a young girl who's going to middle school. She has two really close friends. They've been friends all through grade school. So she's just really sure nothing could ever shake these friendships. And they go on to middle school, and they meet a whole lot of new people. There's a lot of new changes. But it's also a time during Black Lives Matter movement. And Shay's sister is very involved. And she also influences Shay to take part and to play a role and see how she can influence people in her school, which she does. And everybody really appreciates what she has done. But in the meantime, she's still got these two friendships and a boy she doesn't really like. So it's an interesting read. She's an very interesting and nice young girl, young character. She's fun. But it's very timely, too, with the Black Lives Matter. And the last book that I have for this part of the Caudill Corner is a graphic novel. This is called New Kid. And right up on the top it says, middle school is hard enough without being the new kid. And that's exactly what's happened to him. Jordan is really very artistic, and he wants to go to art school. But his parents decide he needs to go to kind of a fancy academy that's not in their neighborhood. And he really doesn't want to go, but they find somebody that's going to kind of be his best friend along the way, show him the ropes. And he meets a lot of different people. This is a totally different setting from his own neighborhood school that he would have gone to. And sometimes he's torn between new friends and old friends. This story goes from the beginning of the school year right to the end, and the changes that happen to him. And the new kid does make a lot of friends. If you like graphic novels, this one is very well illustrated, and you will enjoy that one. Now, the Bloomingdale Public Library is open for you to come by and check out books. We're open all of our regular hours. If you're looking for the Caudills, they're always kept in the same place. They're kept in the same shelf together. We have lists. We have a paper list like this, and this QR code will take you to another list. It'll tell you all about the books. And also we have a bookmark for you. You can find it right where the books are located. It also has a QR code. So when you get home, if you'd like to request a book, if you'd like to put one on hold, you can do that with your library card and a PIN number just through this QR code. I want to thank you. I hope you'll tune in to part 2 of Caudill Corner, because there's 10 more books we need to talk about. So until then, wash your hands, social distance, and don't forget to wear your mask. Bye now. Good to see you. Bye.